The Matrix has been a franchise I have found more and more interesting over time. I have a fair bit of nostalgia for the original trilogy despite being way too young to have seen them when they were first released. I can also 100% get behind people calling the original one of the best blends of action and science fiction ever put to screen. Yet, I don't necessarily adore it like other film fans do. I love how tight the storytelling is, and some of the sequences in the film are beyond iconic at this point, but I wouldn't personally say it's one of my favourite films of all time. And then there's the fourth instalment of the franchise, which, for a long period of time, no one really thought would actually be a thing. But, lo and behold, 18 years after the last one, Matrix Resurrections was finally released. However, what I have admired about this series since day one, and is the primary reason I think it stands out from its contemporaries within the action genre, is how unique and bold they can be with their ideas and concepts, never having it feel like anything was sacrificed in the process for the sake of pleasing the studios. No other mainstream action franchise, to my knowledge anyway, is as creative or as ballsy as the Matrix films. Now, the actual quality of these films can be put up for debate. Yeah, that's right, I'm looking at you, Revolutions. But there is no denying that seeing how unfiltered and different all four of these films are is a breath of fresh air when compared to the majority of other blockbusters we get nowadays. To begin with, you have, of course, 1999's The Matrix, a film that I think we can all agree set the bar for what an action movie was capable of being at the time. It took the influences of Hong Kong martial arts films and used it as a template that could be moulded and reshaped in visually creative manners, resulting in punchy and visceral action set pieces that are instantly ingrained in your brain whether you've seen the film or not. On top of that, you have these bold sci-fi concepts that shouldn't work this well with action scenes like this, but they do. They both lend themselves perfectly to each other, as the concept alone deliberately sets up a framework and world in which the filmmakers can do practically anything they want. Which seamlessly leads us on to Reloaded and Revolutions. I do personally think Reloaded is the better film out of the two, but both do a good job of taking the philosophical themes of the first movie and fully embracing them, taking it way further than the first film ever did. And again, by having the Wachowskis set up such a concept in the first place, it allows them to get away with whatever they want to do, which in turn makes for some truly out there set pieces. It's the kind of imaginative stuff you come up with as a kid while playing with friends and then think to yourself, nah, no one's going to put that in a film. Simple things like people dodging bullets, someone using a car as a trampoline, civilians being used as human projectiles while the hero barely misses them while riding a motorbike at high speed, or a helicopter firing a missile at someone only for them to telekinetically throw said missile into another helicopter. Now, I don't know about you, but saying this stuff out loud kind of sounds insane. It is literally the sort of thing I would come up with as a kid in the playground at school, and the fact that they are in these films that each cost roughly $100 million to make blows my mind. This is why I admire not just the Matrix series as a whole, but the Wachowskis as filmmakers, for just going with their guts and doing whatever the hell they want, without any restraint. Especially when it comes to the fourth film in the franchise, Matrix Resurrections. It doesn't try to fit in with current Hollywood trends and instead just does its own thing. I don't think the film is perfect, far from it, but I appreciate the fact that it exists more than anything else. And if the theory of Lana Wachowski deliberately making elements of this film bad as a fuck you to Warner Brothers is true, then I have even more respect for her now than I ever did. The Wachowskis were constantly being nagged for a whole decade by Warner Brothers to make a fourth Matrix film, but they said no every single time. So, by having this be one big middle finger to the studio that wouldn't leave them alone, I think is kind of fantastic. There are many things in the film that even back this theory up. There's the rant that the Merovingian has during the warehouse fight about how poorly handled the fight scenes are in this specific movie. The whole first act of the film where they're trying to think of ideas for the fourth Matrix game and plan on milking the nostalgic elements of the first three. And there is even a line in the film where someone straight up says, "Look, I'm sure you can understand why our beloved parent company Warner Brothers has decided to make a sequel to the trilogy." Come on, how more on the nose can you get than that? Like I said, these films may not be your cup of tea, but the way in which they don't hold back and do literally whatever the fuck they want to do, going against the grain of most other films, is something to be appreciated, and something I find genuinely inspirational as an aspiring filmmaker. And as I said before, this isn't something exclusive to The Matrix, it applies to most films the Wachowskis make. Whether it's an extremely faithful anime adaptation, an original and bold space opera, or attempting to adapt a book that is apparently unfilmable. It doesn't necessarily matter whether these projects ended up being good or bad, but the fact that Wachowskis always do what they want to do and create things they feel passionate about is something I wish I could see more of, and it gives me hope for the future of big budget action films. They don't have to be conventional. You're allowed to be a little bit different, you know. Thank you so much for watching the video. I can't believe it's taken me this long to talk about The Matrix on this channel in any shape or form, but now I have. Remember to also follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd to keep up to date with everything I do. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye.